Barack Obama's 2008 campaign was by all means data-driven. As Isenberg has pointed out, the campaign's obsessive reliance on data and metrics had a calming effect. Reality was demonstrable and not up for debate. Obama's targeters gave every voter in the country a pair of scores based on the probability that the individual would do two crucial things. One, cast a ballot, and two, support Obama. These scores came from ongoing survey work. And in battleground states, call centers conducted 5,000 to 10,000 short-form interviews a week, quickly assessing voter preferences. 1,000 interviews were in a long-form version that resembled a traditional poll. Algorithms scanned for patterns between these opinions and data points the campaign had assembled for every single voter. Data was drawn from voter registration records, past campaign contacts, and much more. It is important to remember that micro-targeting directed Obama's volunteers to scripted conversations with voters. Each interaction produced data that streamed back to Obama's servers. Models were refined and volunteers were pointed toward the next door worth a knock. As Isenberg points out, there was no suggestion that voters were misleading either Obama's canvassers or public pollsters. The Iowa pig farmers were perfectly willing to vote for the African American. On the other hand, McCain's campaign ran a one-time statistical model, so it wouldn't recalculate the probability that voters would support their candidate as things changed. Obama's scores responded to changes such as Sarah Palin's vice presidential nomination and other events that occurred during the election cycle. Obama used social media as an integral part of his campaign strategy. MyBo.com was the hub of the campaign's online efforts to organize supporters. Registered users could create a profile, create and find local offline events, raise funds, and much more. The campaign also took advantage of video sharing. YouTube would be worth $47 million to the Obama campaign if it were in TV advertising dollars. McCain was less in touch with the digital world than Obama. For example, in the summer of 2008, his Facebook page listed his favorite pastimes as fishing and reading letters from Iwo Jima. Obama opted out of the federal campaign finance system, which gives presidential nominees $84 million to spend. It also stops them from spending any amount above that from their party convention to Election Day. McCain partook in this system. And in an analysis of TV ads from September 28th to October 4th, nearly 100% of McCain's commercials attacked Obama, while 34% of Obama's advertisements attacked McCain. Both campaigns had negative ads, but with more money, Obama could run positive ads as well. In the end, both candidates did what was necessary to win. McCain raised questions about Obama's readiness to lead, while Obama tried to preserve his positive brand of quote-unquote new politics. If you didn't enter the data, you did not do the work. That was the Obama campaign motto in 2012. Of the 100 analytics staffers, 50 worked in a dedicated analytics department. 20 analysts were spread throughout the campaign's various headquarters, and another 30 were in the field interpreting the data. In addition, analytics software was built to integrate the field and digital teams' efforts. When a voter was contacted by the field team in a door-to-door campaign, that voter's particular interests were recorded and fed back to Obama's models. Then, the digital team ran email blasts from the local organizer to voters, each corresponding to a voter's particular campaign issue. Ultimately, this gave Obama an enormous advantage over Romney in micro-targeting voters. It must be noted that the Romney campaign was notably inefficient in its ad-buying strategy. Romney and outside groups supporting him wound up spending more money for fewer spots than Obama, and TV stations in battleground states know how to price their airtime. Of the nation's 210 media markets, 71 drew more than 1,000 ads over the months of the presidential general election. Romney, he favored a traditional approach to TV. heavy on the 6 o'clock news and prime time, while Obama, he focused on cable buys and non-news programs. However, both campaigns favored reality and talk shows. Super PACs and other outside groups ran 60% of the ads in the Republican primary. That's 4 times more than in past presidential primaries. Democrats and Republicans, they spent more than $300 million on ads to help candidates. And outside groups spent more than $1 billion. It's hard to overlook the millions of TV ad dollars that the pro-Republican groups spent. And it all went to waste. In 2012, Obama not only had the expertise on his team, he had an established social media machine up and running. Obama dominated the social media space because his team got how networks work. For example, Obama logged twice as many Facebook likes and nearly 20 times as many retweets as Romney. With his existing social media base and spreadable content, Obama had far superior reach. In the 2012 election, 30% of online users reported that they were urged to vote via social media by family, friends, and other social network connections. 20% actively encouraged others, and 22% posted their decision when they voted. In addition, Obama's group encouraged contribution through small donations using the social media and cell phone platforms. Obama's campaign succeeded in raising nearly $1 billion, not to mention the breadth of social capital. Romney's campaign, on the other hand, was hurt by their lack of understanding of this phenomenon and the fluidity of internet media channels. The most notable meme faux pas was the binders full of women remark that started on Twitter and immediately went viral across multiple media platforms, including parody accounts on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook. As the 2012 elections show, social media is a normal and central form of communications with different properties than traditional mass media approaches. Obama created a standard for future campaigns, but social media and network structures should be given serious attention in the media strategy, whether it's for politicians, organizations, brands, or public service initiatives. Expert speculations contend that the spending on digital advertisements in the 2014 midterm elections had increased by more than 1,800% since 2010, and was upwards of $100 million more than it had been in 2012. The establishment that digital and social media were not only beneficial but essential methods of reaching voters back in 2012 forever changed the way campaigns would be run. However, many candidates and political scientists alike have argued in favor of the effectivity of TV advertisements as campaign strategies. In 2014 alone, over $1 billion went toward TV ads, many of which sought to attack Obamacare. In examining the large Republican sweep of Capitol Hill as a result of this election, the investment on TV advertisement clearly shows a positive outcome. According to the Pew Research Center, the proportion of Americans who use their cell phones to track political news or campaign coverage has doubled compared to the most recent midterm election. 28% of registered voters have used their cell phone in this way during the 2014 campaign, up from 13% in 2010. Furthermore, a national survey by the Pew Research Center showed that the number of Americans who use social media platforms to follow candidates and other political roles had risen 6% between 2010 and 2014. Elections have become increasingly influenced by big data scientists who expertly utilize data analytics in order to obtain their goals. In 2014, Republicans wielded powerful analytic tools, such as a startup company incubated within the RNC called Parabellum Labs, and a Republican-sponsored big data outfit that sought to transform data into votes, called Voter Gravity. Trump preferred to get what he called earned media, that is, free publicity by appearing on cable news shows such as The O'Reilly Factor and Hannity. One estimate claims he had nearly $2 billion in earned media alone during the Republican primary. With ads much darker and more negative than a typical campaign, Trump focused on illegal immigration, fear of Muslims, the war against terror, and crime. Clinton, on the other hand, would often use her opponent's words against them, as in the powerful ad titled Mirrors, that intercuts Trump insulting women with shots of young girls looking at the mirror. The overarching question: is Donald Trump the president we want for our daughters? While Trump's campaign increased its spending on television ads in its final election push, it still used the traditional outreach tool much less than Clinton's did. As of late October, Clinton's campaign spent about $141 million on ads, compared with $58.8 million for Trump's campaign. Many argue that Donald Trump won social media and that his campaign was more engaged with voters. In truth, he mastered Twitter by embracing immediacy, transparency, and a risk. Because trust of media is lower than the norm, social media engagement by candidates and campaigns rises to new prominence in politics. David Robinson, who performed a statistical analysis of the president's Twitter account in August, said Mr. Trump's tendency to tweet like an entertainer meant he was able to garner the interest of the American people, which in turn boosted his chances on Election Day. Trump had 4 million more Twitter followers than Clinton. Trump was also the most Googled candidate and most mentioned on Twitter and Facebook. Overall, online interest in candidate Trump was 3 times higher than that of Clinton. Hillary Clinton's campaign for the presidency was famously, proudly data-driven. The Clinton campaign used NGP-VAN, a system preferred by Democrats, essentially enabling political organizations to take action on their data. The campaign spent around $82,000 with NGP-VAN. In addition, the campaign hired a number of former Obama 2012 data and analytics staffers. Rather than rely on data analytics, Trump preferred to run a campaign focused primarily on exposure of the candidate via free media and cable television. Trump argued that data profiling of prospective voters was, quote, overrated. Many questioned the power of data and its ability to predict events following Trump's surprising victory. Among all the shock and confusion were doubts about whether or not data matters. Others argue the data is out there. We just need to get more creative in looking for it.